Hey, what is going on, good people? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, representing Team Kings of Games. And today I'm going to be coming at you guys with a very much overdue update from my Gem Knight FTK deck. This deck seemed to have basically fallen off of the map completely. It hasn't seen very much representation in comparison to how much it received in the past. And it's not necessarily to say that the deck has been power crept or that the deck is just absolutely unplayable and has no viability. The hit that it took on the most recent ban list, which was Brilliant Fusion going to 1, did subjugate a little bit, but it's not necessarily like the deck is just dead and it's unplayable. I feel it's more or less that people have kind of just deviated away from the strategy and become more, I guess you can say, more interested in other strategies and other decks like that. But this deck is still really incredible. It's very powerful. It's not only just an FTK deck. This deck is still one of the very few that can actually extra link you with 2 and 3 card combos. Outside of just being able to FTK, it still has OTK potential. And also just abusing and capitalizing off of Block Dragon and Saryuja's Skull Dread, you can still end on boards based on your build because of Curios. You can still end on Nat Beast and also Fossil Dyna Parasinephiel or whatever his name is. He basically says Neo player can special summon and having a Nat Beast and like a Vanity's Emptiness on leg is still pretty powerful. So the deck can be played so many different ways, and I've done a bunch of variations on it that you guys could check out, but this is the FTK variant. Let's go ahead and hop into the main deck. So we'll be starting off with 3 copies of Block Dragon. So Block Dragon essentially is the most important monster of the deck. Hey Connor, don't hit your sister. So Block Dragon is the most important monster of the deck. In fact, he's essentially part of the win condition. It's very imperative that you resolve the Block Dragon. Don't do that. Don't do that, Connor. It's very imperative that you resolve Block Dragon because essentially every combo piece that you need, you can get every single one that's needed just by resolving Block Dragon one time. He is kind of like a Dragon Ruler. He allows you to extend your plays a tad bit further than the deck is naturally able to do by itself because of his ability to special summon himself. Being a not once per turn clause, it's really good. It provides protection on your board. He is a pretty big monster by itself. There's also other builds where you can make rank 8s with them. He's just a solid monster, really essential to play 3 because a lot of the times you're allocating resources and combo pieces just to set up to get him somewhere, whether it's your hand or your grave. So opening with him just makes it a lot easier to do the FTK in general. And with Brilliant Fusion also being hit to 1, it's very important to maximize on your combo pieces and your copies of him. So 3 Block Dragon. Next up, I'm playing 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit. So Rescue Rabbit is essentially just a 1-card Phantom Quartz, which is really important because Phantom Quartz, if you're able to resolve Phantom Quartz with a Block Dragon somewhere in rotation, having Gem Knight Fusion in hand, basically, let's put it simplified. If you have a Gem Knight Fusion in your hand, when you resolve Block Dragon, you will win the duel if your opponent cannot stop the plays. If it goes uncontested, for example, you will be able to FTK your opponent, and you'll burn from anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000 damage, which is really important. So yeah, this is a really good strategy. I do like it. It's very flexible. There's a lot of ways you can play it, and I've been particularly playing this build the way I've been playing it for a long time. We have 3 copies of Lonefire Blossom and also 3 copies of Ophiris Scorpio. Even before Brilliant Fusion was hit to 1, if you guys have followed my channel and checked out my builds, I've never not played the plants. Now, I know some people are starting to play the plants now, and their reason being is because they want to see Brilliant Fusion more. But I've always felt that it's imperative to maximize on the imperative combo pieces that you need. Basically, this is like playing extra copies of any fusion that you need, whether it's Gem Knight Fusion or Brilliant Fusion. So for me, it made no sense to not play good cards like this because these are probably the most powerful normal summons of your deck. They're even stronger than Rescue Rabbit in the sense that Brilliant Fusion is a lot better than Gem Knight Fusion oftentimes because resolving Brilliant Fusion more than likely will allow you to get Phantom Quartz on field, which will get Gem Knight Fusion in the first place. So I just really feel that the plants are arguably the best normal summons of the deck. But you always get two normal summons every turn because of Seraphonite and how easily you can just access her through your Lady Brilliant Diamond or just by making her with your Crystal Rose. And then I play 1 Darling Tonia Cobra. It's just, you know, it's essential combo piece that's needed in order for you to even resolve them in the first place. So we'll go ahead and move these guys out the way. So these all just contribute to the vast consistency that the deck already has, which is a repetitious manner of just being able to constantly, on a regular basis, just burn your opponent for over 8,000 damage. And for me, that's the epitome of consistency. It's repetition. And this deck does that very well. Next up, we have 3 copies of Gem Armadillo. He's the theme Stratos. Now, one would say, oh, no, there's too many normal summons in the deck. Honestly, you want to open with 2 powerful normal summons every turn. Why? Because you get a double summon. So when you're able to resolve, for example, Rescue Rabbit and a plant, or Gym Armadillo plus Rabbit, or Plant plus Armadillo, you get so much advantage just off of that. It's insane. Virtually, you can play, even without a Call by the Grave, you could play through most hand traps outside of Droll and Lockbird. The only time you could play through Droll is if you resolved Block Dragon first, and they drolled you on the resolution of Block Dragon. Because once you get those searches, that's all you're going to need. Virtually, that's the searches that matters. It's just the cards you get off Block Dragon. But anyways, yeah, so he's going to start off with the Gym Knight monsters. And then we have 3 copies of Gym Knight Lazuli. Lazuli is essential. What's incredible about the Gym Knight archetype is outside of Phantom Quartz himself, which was a newer card, there wasn't very many cards at all that were once per turn. There's maybe Absorb Fusion and I think like Fragment Fusion, but none of the Gym Knight monsters in the main deck were once per turn, and their fusion spells not once per turn either, the Gym Knight Fusion. So there's very little cards in the archetype that are hard once per turn. This just, this was a time and era where the Hidden Arsenal decks were thriving, like Evil Swarms and Constellars were really good. Laval saw some play. Gishkis were incredible. Gishki Heretics, at the time. But anyways, Lazuli's not once per turn, neither is Obsidian, and these are actually focal points of the combo where you need to resolve these as many times as you possibly can. Oftentimes, you're able to play through additional interruptions just by hard drawing these for turns, because sometimes just having it makes it a lot easier when you're either not able to resolve Block Dragon, or if you get drolled, or if you get impermanence at the right time. Having this in hand can allow you to follow up with the FTK anyways, even though they hand trapped you, which is really important. So you've got to play 3 of each of these. Next up for the vanillas, I opted to only play 3 Tourmalines and 1 Lapis. I have not had any issues whatsoever with needing to have more targets for a Rescue Rabbit. Absolutely not. I have not had the issue at all. Not only has it never came up for me, but in addition to that, when I played the 2 Garnets in the past, because of the fear that Rescue Rabbit, that issue would come up with me, I ended up making my deck less consistent. So I wanted to minimize on the amount of vanillas that I played, but I wanted to play the proper amount so that I would not have, so I would not be missing out on the opportunities where you need valid targets. So this has actually worked out very perfectly for me. This list in particular has been play tested thoroughly. This one is very similar to the one when Brain Fusion was at 3, and that list in particular was play tested for like 9 months, I think. So it's been a long time for this list. But in general, I've been playing Gym Knights for about 8 years now. So it's really important that you're going to be playing 3 of any level 4 or lower vanilla because of how good Rescue Rabbit is. But keep in mind that Tourmaline is honestly one of the better ones that you can play in your list, for the simple fact that he gives you access to Topaz for OTK potential, and also for Tourmaline to make your Prismara in a pinch. Prismara allows you to play going second. You're able to out Floodgates, for example, like stuff that could be a disposition for you. And just being able to pop monsters as well, just getting rid of problematic cards in general is just really good. I think it's higher ceiling than Citrine, which Citrine is kind of power crept right now. And then to finish up the monsters, we play 1 copy of Crystal Rose. Crystal Rose is also imperative for every single combo. Having Crystal Rose is essentially like having an extender like Block Dragon, because you can actually, its effect to Foolish Burial is not once per turn. Its ability to bring itself from graveyard is, but the purpose is you're going to use this to get 2 copies of Lazuli from your deck to your grave. And those 2 Lazulis will get you 2 extra vanillas so that you can get more resources allocated for your combo to continue going. So I think that Crystal Rose is clutch. I've considered playing more than 1 because of the hands where you need to resolve Block Dragon, searching an Obsidian and a Lapis, and then Crystal Rose. And when you have Crystal Rose in hand, you're not able to do that, so you're forced to search a Lapis or an Obsidian plus a Lazuli and a Gym Armadillo because they have to equal 8. But it hasn't come up enough for me to want to play 2 of it. It's still a great card, and it doesn't really hurt to draw it at all. But this list, I actually kept it at 40 cards. So if I wanted to put in the Crystal Rose, there's not very much that I would feel like is good enough to take out for the second one. Now for the spells, we have 3 copies of Call by the Grave. It is an FTK deck, and there's very few hand traps that can actually stop the FTK from happening altogether. There are hand traps that can interrupt you and force you to either have an extender in hand, or you will not be able to finish the FTK. But there's no particular hand trap outside of Joel and Lockbird that just stops the FTK downright. Like, whether it's a properly timed Ash or Ogre or Impermanence or Valor or Gamma, it's not going to stop the combo if you're a seasoned veteran Gem Knight player. Now, there are times when your hand is just really piss poor and one hand trap stops it, and in those piss poor hands, you're not able to FTK in the first place. Like, if your hand's piss poor, you weren't going to FTK at all. So, them hand trapping you is essentially them going -1 because they're trying to stop something that wasn't going to happen in the first place. But 3 Call by the Graves. I played Drag Down into the Grave before too, but I also feel that because Drone Lockbird is not, it's popular, but a lot of people are kind of deviating away from playing it in the main and more or less playing it to the side deck. So for that fear alone of Droll, it was that fear of Droll was what made me want to play the Drag Downs. But with Droll being more or less a side deck staple than a main deck staple, which is very true, I felt that the call buys were just perfect for the main deck. And then the rest of the spells are going to be combo pieces. So we have 3 Unexpected Dies. Essentially, it's a starter card. It allows you to set up for your Phantom Quartz, which is really good. And Unexpected Die plus a plant is the full combo, and that's the FTK right there. Or an Extra Link. I actually have a video showing you guys that Gem Knights could have Extra Link, that Gem Knights can Extra Link with no Summon Sorceress and no Firewall. That was around the time when Firewall was legal. But they still can Extra Link. The thing is, why Extra Link when you can FTK? You know, give your opponent a chance to play or just stop the duel right then and there. I'd rather FTK than Extra Link. But yeah, 3 Unexpected Dies. 3 copies of Gem Knight Fusion. It's the most important spell in your deck. Second most important would be Brilliant, but you can't do anything without Gem Knight Fusion. Gem Knight Fusion is what keeps you going. And then I also play 3 copies of Left Arm Offering. Essentially, this is to search out the one of Brilliant Fusion, or it's to search out your Gem Knight Fusion, which is really important. But I find that this is really all I needed for the spell lineup. Before, Soul Charge was in my deck. Soul Charge is banned now. So my one-ofs used to be Foolish Burial, Soul Charge, and Monster Reborn. Soul Charge is banned. I cut the Foolish and the Monster Reborn and actually decided to incorporate 3 left arms. And it was really easy because my deck list was actually 42 cards. So what I did was I took out the 2 Brilliants. That made it 40. And then I took out the Soul Charge, the Monster Reborn, and the Foolish and put in my 3 left arms in. I haven't missed the Foolish because its sole purpose was really to be the extra copy of Block. And sometimes you have cute plays with Lazuli, but ultimately this is guaranteed going to give me what I want, if it makes sense. Versus cards like Monster Reborn and also Foolish that are not going to guarantee that my FTK can happen. They're just sacky one-ofs that can allow you to play under pressure in awkward scenarios. But for me personally, I felt that the left arms were just much higher ceiling because they're going to give me exactly what I wanted in the first place, if that makes sense. But to each his own. Play your deck however you want. Definitely don't judge others for playing their deck the way they want. And also, you know, if you have a certain way that you want to play it, I'm not stopping you from playing it that way. Now for the extra deck, we have 1 Master Diamond and 1 Lady Brilliant Diamond, the king and the queen of the deck. It's essential to play 1 of each. She's at 1, but you definitely don't want to play more than 1 of her. You're naturally going to resolve her 1 time a duel. Sometimes you don't even resolve her, but she's imperative when you're trying to set up for your Seraphonite, which is really good. 2 copies of Zirconia. Zirconia is a really important card. Sometimes he's the only card you can make when you're trying to go for the FTK, so I think it's really important to play 2 of them. And then 1 copy of Prismar. Now, Prismar is for the scenarios where you actually need him. Like, you're not going to make him through the duration of your FTK because Phantom Quartz can put back your Zirconias if you just need to keep fusing just to extend. Because oftentimes, like, you're just trying to put out special summon monsters on the board so that you can get the burn increments for Lazuli. So you hold them for when you need them, but if you're ever in a scenario where you just need to summon them just to have an extra special summon monster for the FTK, you'll do it then. But oftentimes, you want to hold him for that scenario when he actually does come up. And then 2 Lapis Lazulis. You only need 2 for the FTK. I think it's absolutely correct to just play 2. You don't want to play more than what you need. If you're a responsible and patient player, you will play 2. If you're a greedy and overzealous player, you'll need 3 because you won't know when and where to play your cards. You're oftentimes not going to play your cards in a sequential order to play around hand traps. You're just going to play under the premise that there are no hand traps, and that's why players like that need to play 3 Lapis. But you only need 2. And then the 1 Seraphonite to finish out the fusions. Now continuing with the links, I play 1 Skuldred. Skuldred is one of the very few opportunities that you get to chain block with your Block Dragon. Before, when Nightmare Goblin was legal, I always used to chain block with Nightmare Goblin and Block Dragon, which really helped me out. But now you can always chain block with Saruji Skuldred and Block Dragon, leaving Block Dragon as chain link 1 and Skuldred as chain link 2. It's really important because, like, drawing 4 doesn't matter in the sense that you don't know what you're drawing, but with Block Dragon, the cards are guaranteed gonna be what you need. So it's important to just have this as Chain Link 2. And its ability to special from hand, the reason why that's really clutch is because not only do you get the 2 normal summons, so you can normal, for example, like a Predator Plant, and then you can normal summon a Gem Armadillo, but also in the middle of the combo, you could special summon a Rescue Rabbit from your hand, banish it, bring out 2 special summon monsters, and that's going to guarantee that your FTK can be finished off with 9,000 damage. So special summoning from hand is just incredible as well. Just a really good link in general. 2 Phantom Quartz, you don't need more than 2. You play the second one so that you can use the first one to recycle the second one to recycle the first one, so that your resources are never burned thin. We play 1 Mrs. Radiant. This is just for your OTK pushes naturally, and when you need to jump zones, you want to link from here to there. 1 Binary Sorceress, 1 Curios, and 1 Link Spider. Link Spider is here to help you to make the Curios for your hands that are kind of awkward. Like when you have those Gymnite Fusion, Tourmaline, Obsidian hands, you can use those hands to make Curios. Get Block Dragon, and then you just link with Curios into this and another monster into the Skull Dread, even though you're not going to draw a special, just to have the arrows and a link for that has that many arrows for you to help you to finish the FTK off. And that is the deck profile, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. This is for my Gymnite fans out there that are still trying to keep the dream alive. You're not alone. I'm still playing this deck. I've never stopped playing it. I just have way too many decks, and oftentimes, as I'm building new decks that you guys request, some of my other decks don't get a lot of spotlight because there's just so much that I have to do for my channel. But I appreciate you guys for the patience and the time that you've dedicated out of your day to watch this video. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day, all right? Stay positive. Peace.